A few years ago, LG was not relevant in the smartphone conversation. The Optimus range was uninspiring and the flagships like 2X and 4X were duds. But all changed when the company released the Nexus 4 with Google. Continuing with the successes of the Nexus 5 and the G2, LG has firmly cemented its position as one of the top 5 smartphone vendors. But at this point in time, with virtually every evolutionary avenue explored, the question of what's next had to be addressed in the smartphone market. The G Flex is LG's answer, as it hopes to set the precedent for the next generation of devices. Well, does it? Let's find out in our review. The G Flex is touted as the world's first curved and flexible smartphone. While we have seen curved phones earlier, the G Flex is indeed the first one with a curved screen and an overall flexible body, and hence the design is very interesting. Unlike the Samsung Galaxy Round, the G Flex is vertically curved, which follows the natural contour of your face. This brings the microphone closer to your mouth, which LG claims will improve call output and better clarity. The whole body is gently curved with a 700mm radius that is good enough to notice at first glance, and even with a thin glass film on top, it allows the phone to flex 180 degrees on a flat surface. The G Flex also comes with the same ambidextrous key layout on the back as we saw on the G2. This allows the phone to have thin bezels on the front and unobtrusive sides, and also makes the one-handed usage of a big phone really easier. Yes, the G Flex has a massive 6-inch screen that marks LG's entry into this segment, but it definitely doesn't have the heft compared to the others. Weighing in at 177 grams, the G Flex is probably the lightest in the segment, and it is really thin too, coming in at 7.9mm at its thinnest point and 8.7mm at its thickest. The phone is bottom heavy and it bolts really well for the grip, with the curve helping it not topple over in the hands. Due to the curved nature of the G Flex, the phone is predominantly made of plastic. Make no mistake, the phone is really rigid, but the glossy plastic is not the highest quality or dense, a compromise for its flex tricks. The back is glossy, but don't panic, it has a special coating that keeps the phone in pristine condition as it prevents small scratches or scuffs by healing itself. We had specifically tested it out earlier and found it to work great, so good that it totally alleviates the need for a cover. When it comes to handling, the phone fits surprisingly well in pockets, but tight pants are a nightmare mainly due to the phone's sheer size and the vertical curves. While people with small hands will find it daunting, my large hands found it comfortable enough. In fact, this might be the most comfortable 6-inch phone yet. Like any high-end phone, LG has blessed the G Flex with relevant specs and components. We have a 6-inch 720p display on the front, a front-facing camera, the couple of sensors and a notification LED above the display along with the earpiece. Over at the left side, we have the micro SIM slot, and over at the top, the secondary microphone, while the primary microphone, the micro USB slot and the 3.5mm headphones jack sit at the bottom. Turning to the back, we have the 13-megapixel camera flanked by the IR LED blaster and a single LED flash, and the button combination of a volume rocker and the power lock button below. Weirdly, the lock switch incorporates another multicolor LED which flashes much like the one on the front, but again it's almost always useless when the phone is predominantly placed on its back. Right at the bottom of the back, we have the LG logo and the loudspeaker. LG has tried to keep it as minimal as possible when it comes to the front face of the phone, which is all about the curve. One of the key components that makes this possible is the display. A 6-inch OLED panel made of plastic substrates is used on the G Flex. It actually can bend to a 400mm radius even though the phone restricts it to 700mm, which makes the potential of its use really interesting. The 720p panel may not be the best we have seen, as the G2 consistently outperforms it in most cases, but the viewing angles, brightness and outdoor visibility make up for it. However, we did note the usual weird OLED traits like a cool bluish white, oversaturated colors and even a subtle texture created as a byproduct of the plastic substrates. It's not pretty, but surely makes a difference in the experience. But all said, we did find watching movies and any kind of video to be really immersive on the curved screen, and the seemingly low resolution was never a problem. Another bendable component inside the phone that made it possible is the battery. The 3500 mAh unit, equivalent to a 13.3 watt capacity, provides insane battery life. It goes on and on, with us easily managing 2 days of heavy usage. Best battery life ever. But what makes it special is that it's a curved stacked unit that reduces strain when flexed. Huge potential again. These aside, the G Flex is just another top-end device with flagship specifications. It has a 13 megapixel camera that can shoot decent stills in most lighting conditions. While it is not at the levels of G2 in performance, it produces desirable shots in most conditions, with low light being the obvious pitfall. The noise reduction is very heavy and the pictures lose the details, but certainly it is manageable at some point. The camera UI is exactly the same as the G2, chock-a-block with many settings and modes. The shortcuts on the right are for switching between the camera modes, the shutter button and the gallery, while the ones on the left let you take more control of the camera. There are several modes and neatly laid out settings for stills as well as video. Talking of video, the phone can record at 4K resolution at 30 fps or 1920 by 1080 at 60 fps. The video performance is really good and we found the audio to be pretty decent. 4K and 60 fps are enabled thanks to the powerful internals that the G Flex packs. The device is powered by the Snapdragon 800 processor running at 2.26 GHz and the graphics are powered by the Adreno 330 GPU. This enables super fast and smooth experiences with respect to the UI as well as the apps and games. We tested out some really high-end games on this phone and all of them performed really well, and actually the curved screen made gaming really immersive. General UI performance is top-notch and we seldom noticed any lag. With 32 GB of internal memory, one would not worry much about the internal storage, and one would not also worry about multitasking either, as the phone's 2 GB of RAM keeps things smooth and functional. We even ran some synthetic benchmarks to find the phone consistent with other top-end flagships in terms of performance. Coming to software, the G Flex runs on an older version of Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean with LG's own custom UI on top. LG brings in a ton of customization options and many pre-installed apps which are equal parts good and bad. Much like Samsung's TouchWiz, LG's UI is stocked with features that you'd either use all the time or never even touch. But we did enjoy some features that were very useful on a 6-inch screen. The UI scales really well and we found Q-Slide and multi-window to come in really handy. You can either manually activate multi-window by long pressing the back button or let the app decide when to open a new app in a separate window. Slide Aside can have 3 apps docked in and immediately accessible with a 3-finger gesture, but was cumbersome to use. There were some features that we found redundant though, like the one-handed operation, which might be useful for people with small hands, but it was sufficiently usable in our opinion, and some gestures like moving home screen icons with tilt were just gimmicky. But we do appreciate the inclusion of custom front touch buttons, double tap to unlock or lock, and the tons of theming and animation options. It never really gets boring. That said, the core design of the software is indeed highly subjective, so we will leave it up to you to decide. Otherwise, we have the usual Google apps, the custom media apps, and a lot more to keep you occupied. In the end, the LG G Flex is a really important phone in the market right now. The phone has some really innovative additions like a bendable display, battery, and overall a flexible phone with a self-healing back being the icing on the cake. These components have found their home inside a smartphone where a curved screen or a flexible form factor is not much of a big deal yet, but with the exploding wearables market, the G Flex sets a precedent for both future smartphones as well as smartwatches and other wearables. Its pricing indicates that LG has positioned it more like a top-end supercar rather than a mass-market device. So if you want to own a technological showcase, the pricing is justified and the device is really good. Go for it. Or let's just wait for LG to make a smartwatch which can put all this new technology to good use. Anyway guys, that's about it for the video review. Do check our blog for the full review. The links will be up in the description below. We hope you enjoyed this video. Do hit the like button if you did, and do hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like these. Thanks for watching.